Class is now in session.
For the introduction to this episode, I tried to come up with a way to do this, and I was stalling, and I couldn't do it. So I'm just gonna tell you what I was gonna do, and you're gonna pretend that we're doing this, right? You're in a classroom. You're in a druid classroom in Moonglade. It is the final day of school. You are a teenage night elf or tauren or troll, and you are sitting there watching the clock. And the teacher says something like, I know time is short, class, but I want to get in one last topic before the summer. Turn to page 74 in your chronicle book. The Mantid cycle, 16,000 years before the Dark Portal. In the later stages of the war with the trolls, one enclave of Akir gathered at the southern edge. Class. And yeah, it's too late. It's the end of the school year, and the kids scatter, and the teacher yells out,
You've learned nothing.
You have entered the Solo Queue, a monthly podcast about adventuring alone in the world of Warcraft. Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Gagne. Welcome to episode 40 of Solo Queue. We have put out 2 episodes of this little show. Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave, and I'm here to talk about the World of Warcraft as a solo player, as a casual player, as a fanatical, time-crunched WoW player, and isn't that all of us at some point? So hey, welcome back to the show. This is June, and yeah, you know, I feel like I keep coming back to this idea of acceptance and things like that. You know, I think we started the year with an episode on acceptance. Let's just state it clearly right now. Can we all just agree that this is a monthly podcast? This is a monthly show with occasional extra episodes. I have to go back to the OG format. And it's in the intro. It says a monthly podcast about the World of Warcraft. Yeah, I have to stop with the stress, the self-imposed stress, and the, all of the anxiety that comes with getting more shows out. I know the plan was, hey, let's do more shows. Hey, let's do 3 weeks. Hey, let's do 2 per month. Hey, I've had all these ideas. And darn it all, if life and things and time just gets in the way, this is a monthly podcast that is going to have some extra episodes every now and then. The goal is still to put out, it's been 17 episodes the last couple of years or something. Let's keep shooting for that. It's been a little bit. Last time I talked to you was the beginning of May. It is now the second half of June. I don't even understand it. Yes, school is out. All of the grading is done. All the finals are done. The final projects, everything is tidied up. The coaching season is over. There are no students anywhere. I do work during the summer, but it's a very different pace. I'm not teaching. I'm doing tech stuff, IT stuff. So the world has slowed down a lot on that front. Still busy here at home. We're trying to renovate stuff. My wife's been traveling. I've been watching dogs, our dog, and my grand dog, Kiwi. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of stuff, and I haven't gotten here. But, oh my goodness, today is patch day. It is update day, whatever you want to call it. Content release day. It is 12.0.7 drops later today. And at the moment, it is 6:40 in the morning. Recorded the little intro bit, and we're moving forward. And I thought, this episode has been written, I don't know, maybe for weeks, not quite weeks, but it's been a while. I just haven't had the chance to sit down. And so it's update day. Last night I was like, why isn't this out for the 8-hour maintenance that's coming? Well, darn it. Got up this morning and we're just going to try and cram this out. And maybe that's part of the acceptance too. I should say this. I want to give a big thanks to Rak and Kael for inviting me onto their podcast, The Ready Check, to help them celebrate their 20th episode. That was really fun. We did that 2 days ago on Sunday, and that episode just came out yesterday, Monday. Check that out. It was a really great conversation. They wanted to talk to me. They wanted to talk about what I think about Warcraft, how I play Warcraft. They want to talk about podcasting and, my experience so far, 2.5 years into this show. Episode 40 episodes in. I think I've learned a few things about podcasting. And as I said, with them, boy, isn't there more. Isn't there more that I want to do to make this easier, to streamline this? I put out a show that is a fair amount of work. How do I shorten that up and make it a little less stressful? And maybe, as a perfectionist, how do I let go a little bit of that to get this show out to you? So who knows? Today might be that test. Today, I sort of put the gauntlet down in front of myself of, can I get this out? Not before maintenance. That's a little ambitious. Can I get this out today? Can I get this out during the 8-hour maintenance? It's all right in front of me. All I have to do is start talking. So we're going to see if we can do this. This is the test. This is the letting go of some perfection-y things and still making hopefully a good show for you. Got a lot of things planned. School's out. And when school is out, you know what that means. You get a report card. And so this episode main topic's going to be talking a little bit about where Midnight is, some of the systems, me giving you my report card on World of Warcraft, and it's sort of current stuff right now. So that is coming. Not a lot of news. Got a few little things here. I do want to shout out a happy 25th birthday to my kiddo Alex, who I know sometimes listens to the show. 25 years. That's a quarter century. Congratulations. It's very exciting. Yeah. Time marches on for all of us. All in our lanes. I've got a little top 10 list buried in there in the show somewhere. I thought, 40, that's a multiple of 10. Maybe every 10th episode we do some sort of top 10 list. And as, serendipity would have it, I already have a top 10 list built into one of the parts of the show. So that is coming. Got some mailbag things. I've got a free idea for Blizzard to take free from the solo queue. They can put it into the game whenever they want. And it's not actually follower raids. That's always available. Well, without further ado, let's just get into it. Happy 40th episode. And let's start with things I got wrong recently.
You're just embarrassing yourself. You're doing it wrong.
Okay, well, last episode, back in May. I always listen to the episode because, as I said with Rak and Kael, I enjoy listening to the show. I actually enjoy hearing this show and all the stuff that goes into it, blah, 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 blah. But boy, the last episode, there was a couple things I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And if this annoyed you, I'm so sorry, especially this first one, because I said it 1,000 times. It is the Heroic World tier, not tour. Oh my God. I cringe every time I hear that part of the episode. In the last episode, I was talking about how, hey, the Heroic World tier is a tier of challenging content that's coming, whatever, and we did it in the remix. Oh my goodness, every single time I said World Tour, and I had no idea. And I remember editing, I'm like, oh, that's weird. I should just change that. And then I said it like 6 more times in a minute. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna take the loss on that one. So yeah, apologize for that. When I was talking about my favorite Commodore 64 games, all of you military equipment fanatics will know that I said the A-64 Apache gunship, and that's not a thing. It is the AH-64, the Attack Helicopter 64 Apache gunship helicopter. I don't even understand. I didn't notice I said that either. Podcasting is weird. You say things and yeah, they just come out of your mouth. So so much for letting go of perfectionism, I guess. But also, this is funny, and this I did fix in the episode. When I was talking about Turtle Wow, I had a line that said, "Why Turtle now wow?" I did it again. I did it wrong for you somehow. I didn't even mean to. Why Turtle Wow now is the line asking about why is Blizzard taking down Turtle Wow at this moment. And I struggled so hard with that line. Why Turtle now wow? I said it like that every single time. I was like, oh, that's bad. I have to fix that. That makes no sense. And then I was like, okay, re-record. Why Turtle now wow? I mean, I'm not even having a hard time saying it wrong to demonstrate because, man, that just comes out of my mouth wrong almost every time. Why Turtle wow now was the hardest line I have said in 39 episodes, and 39 and a 10th or whatever we're up to now. That made me laugh. Something else. Somebody mentioned this. They're like, hey, I like the new, I like the Ritz and Flame Scowl thing, the profile, but I don't know about the voice. And it's funny. I was like, I don't know about this voice either. I don't know if I'm a voice guy. And someone sort of said, yeah, no, I like your voice. They're very positive with it. Like, I like your voice. You should use your voice. So the Ritz and Flame Scowl voice. I don't know. You may or may not see that again. So yeah, I don't know. And the last little correction-y thing, I was so excited. And I was so warm and welcoming when I was talking in the last episode about, hey, the show is in so many countries. This is great, like 57 countries, and shouting out Vietnam. Like, hey, Vietnam, all of a sudden, there's so many downloads. It's great. Yeah. You probably don't pay attention to podcasting news. I'd be surprised if you do. But if you do, you might have heard that recently, and I don't know all the details of this, but Vietnam has exploded as an absolute bot farm for downloading podcasts. Just absolutely crazy. Some podcasts, much bigger than this one, report like thousands and thousands of downloads all of a sudden all out of Vietnam. And I heard that and I was like, oh, I thought people in Vietnam just liked the show all of a sudden. So, my meager podcast does not get thousands and thousands of bonus downloads every episode. But still, there was a number commensurate with the size of this show. And I thought, oh, so that's all fake? I don't know. It's not good. I don't understand all the details. Essentially, it sounds like there are bots, particularly in running through Vietnam, that are scraping up and grabbing all podcasts. And I don't know if they're, turning them into an LLM, AI, whatever, or if they're, I think sometimes they may be putting that content back out as another podcast and hoping to get the advertising or the what, I don't know, this shady, weird stuff, as if there isn't enough shady, weird, stupid stuff in the world right now. Yeah, the safe little haven of podcasts. So, hey, thanks, Vietnam, for any of the legit downloads. I hope somebody there got to hear the show and it's not just all the bad news that I thought it was. But I thought I'd let you know. Yay. Okay. Let's turn to some more positive things. Things that, people said I did correctly. Let's go to the Solo Q mailbag.
Next in line, please.
Okay, despite all of those blunders, people have written in lately on various platforms, Spotify, Apple, Gmail. There's a lot of things going on in Discord, but I wanted to hit a couple of comments that people made. The first one is from Apple Podcasts. It is a review written by Rak, or as he sometimes now wants to be called, Rakalicious, but this is Rak from The Ready Check with Rak and Kael. 5-star review, or 5-star rating, and for the review, Rak writes, Dave has such great insights into this MMO from the solo perspective. The way he engages with WoW individually and then shares his experiences with others that resonate with his solo style has honestly been inspiring. Since listening, I've started to carve out time to play the game quietly on my own each week to find a different level of immersion. It's been refreshing. Well, glad I could help define your play style, Rak, and thanks for those very nice comments. On the Spotify side of things, there's a couple comments to catch up with. Sorchaduin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I hope that is your given name. But Sorchaduin wrote in a few weeks ago. He was commenting, she, they. It's not really a gendered word, Sorchaduin, but there you go. They commented on episode 32, going back a little bit to My WoW Family Part 2. It says, wow, this episode definitely hit home and brought tears to my eyes. I'm glad you get to take your uncle's character on one last journey. Great episode. Thanks, Sorchaduin. That was a lot of fun to do. And on the previous episode, a couple comments on Spotify. One from Jerzey Netroy. Jerzey, how are you? I really love this episode. It was real heartwarming and touching, and I think it was an awesome way of respecting and thinking about Bricko. He will be missed, no doubt. And checking in from the Thralls Balls podcast, Wooley wrote, 1, R.I.P. Bricko. Sad little face emoji thing. Number 2, I actually like it when you get chatty during the news. And number 3, hell yeah, Ritson. Writes in Wooley. Thanks, Wooley, for that. Wooley was the inspiration for Ritson Flamescowl being the first NPC profile, so that was a lot of fun. If you want to especially in Spotify, comment on an episode. Feel free to do that. And in Apple and in Spotify, in both, those 5-star reviews, any of that engagement really helps push this podcast out to actual humans, not just the bots in Vietnam. So all of that's appreciated. Or if you just want to send me a little something, send it to soloqwow@gmail.com, as a couple people have lately, catching up with some emails. Vantacor writes in, and your most recent episode had me thinking about some spreadsheets. I like your idea about setting up keybinds. As a shaman, I have a lot of buttons and tools at my disposal. I don't know if it's any different than other classes. One button assistant is nice, helping me see what spell I should be ready for, but I like my buttons still. I agree with that. One button assistant doesn't help me track my totems or heals, so I use it in a hybrid sense. I personally use my number pad for combat along with my mouse, but I need to streamline some placements. That's interesting. I've always thought about the number pad. And I guess because I sometimes play on a laptop that doesn't have a number pad, I've never gone there. I actually have a laptop with a number pad again right now, so who knows? He continues on to talk about love being a shaman, resto elemental enhancement. I don't care. I like being able to kill and heal and attack again. Very handy for a solo-minded player. Also kind of goes on to say he likes to not play like everyone else and looking for kind of maximizing your class by finding some kind of different way to kind of min-max things and interesting stuff. Goes into different like intellect and mastery and all of that stuff, how to find the best DPS and the best all of that. So yeah, thanks for checking in, Vantacor. And old friend Sin also wrote in, just finished episode 39 and it really resonated with me. This is easily one of my favorite episodes in a long time. Personal matters have kept me out of touch for the past 5 months and I haven't been very motivated to play lately. However, this episode had me laughing, getting a little choked up, reminiscing, and looking to the future. Well played, sir. The car buying scenario you described is exactly the kind of predicament my wife would put me in. I've always felt in a no man's land regarding WoW in real life. Over the past 20 years, I've only met 2 players in person, one employee whose life was consumed by the game, and one alpha hole, a term from a book series my wife recommended. I want to know what that book series is. That's interesting. Who is eerily similar to your encounter. Regarding key bindings, I'm glad you found some harmony with the system. After a wrist injury during TBC, I moved away from WASD to a Nostromo N52 and eventually transitioned to an MMO mouse and then to a controller. Add-ons like console port and the one-button assistant are game changers, and I hope to hear more about these advancements at BlizzCon. I think there's going to be, maybe at BlizzCon, maybe not, but I think they're going to keep pushing towards controller support and what have you, and more different ways to play the game. And I think ultimately more platforms to play the game on. We will see. A little later, I also relate to the burnout that you mentioned, though it feels for me more like an overabundance of options. Totally with you. With limited playtime, I often find it difficult to choose a path, afraid I'll miss that left turn at Albuquerque. Now, kids, Sin just gave away how old he is. Left turn at Albuquerque means you were watching some Looney Tunes cartoons as a kid, which I understand you could probably still catch. But yeah, there you go. And I end up logging off to read instead. It's a good problem to have, but a challenge nonetheless. Yeah, too much of a good thing can be too much of a good thing. Thank you for the episode. Between chaos at work and my kids graduating and their upcoming AP and IB exams and getting them shipped off to college, I really needed these 2 hours to level me out. Please know how much we appreciate what you do, and don't hesitate to ask if there's anything we can do to help. How are your editing skills, Sin? Oh, and let us know when the merch store is open. I'm down for solo queue wear. Hoping for a smooth end of the school year for you. Sin, thank you, Sin, for checking in. Yeah, I'm with you on all of that. We're going to talk about, in this episode, the overabundance of options. And, I guess for what it's worth, I will give you my opinion on what things I am setting aside and what things I am doing in also my limited time. So maybe that's helpful. I don't know. We will see. But for this month, that is the Solo Q mailbag. Thank you, everyone, for checking in. And as I said, keep those comments coming, questions coming. And hey, remember, if you just want to throw a little something out there or start a conversation, hop into the Discord. We'd love to have you. Discord invite link is in the show notes, and you can always reach out to me in any of these ways, and I can send you the code, whatever. Discord's weird, but there's an invite thing, and you get there, and we'd love to have you. So let's get to some news.
You bring news?
What news from the mainland?
Have you any news?
There's actually very little news aside from what is going to happen today, but I did find something brand new in the news. There is a new Twitch drop starting today. Just in case you don't have enough cuddly Grrgle decor items, you can get the cuddly cotton candy Grrgle housing decor item starting today, June 16th, and this will run just about a month till July 14th. So standard, Twitch drop, watch 4 hours, connect your Battle.net account to your Twitch account, and Bob's your uncle. Or at least you've got a gurgly Grrgle, another plushy Grrgle thing to put in your house. So there you go, more Twitch dropping. But more importantly, today, of course, is the drop of 12.0.7, the content update that I previewed earlier. All the same things are coming, the raid, the stuff, the things. The parts that are not arriving today after the 8-hour maintenance, which may or may not be done by the time this comes out, we'll see. But on July 7th is when the story portion of this update will launch. And the blurb says, when the Haranir call for a special gathering, Zul'Jan attends as the Amani representative, only to be drawn into an ancient mystery surrounding the legacy of the Amani trolls. Join him and his uncle Kinduru on their journey of discovery to uncover the truth. So, the story continues. This definitely feels like the connection to 12.1, kind of a story connection. So that will be July 7th, a couple more weeks. Also in a couple weeks, but one less, will be the Turbulent Timeways. They will resume on June 30th. This time, you will only have to do 4 of the 6 time walking, essentially earn the buff 4 weeks out of the 6 instead of 5. So beginning June 30th, Dragonflight will be the active, the active set of dungeons. Run 4 dungeons, get the buff, and then if you don't do anything else with that character, you can log in because that buff lasts for 2 hours. In that 2 hours, if you run another dungeon, it re-establishes the buff. So you essentially can log back in on that character, run 1 dungeon, re-up the buff, and if you do that 4 times, you're going to get that Spawn of Viranoth mount that looks kind of amazing. So week of June 30th, Dragonflight, and then the rotation from there is July 7th, Battle for Azeroth. July 14th will be Shadowlands dungeons. July 21st loops back to Classic dungeons. July 28th will be the Burning Crusade, and we will bookend August 4th, returning to the Dragonflight list. So there you go. And I saw somewhere that somebody believes the 12.1 update is on the PTR, maybe in some coded back room, something. I just checked the launcher. It is not on the PTR officially yet, but I think we're going to see it very quickly because, mark my words, 12.1 will launch on August 11th. That is solo queue official. That is not Blizzard official, but come on. The Turbulent Timeways will end on August 11th. August 11th is 8 weeks from today, June 16th, the drop of 12.0.7, right on that 8-week schedule that they are pushing for. And I have to imagine, for all that we've talked about this 8-week schedule on this show, on certainly other shows, other people are talking about it. I still think it's too fast, but clearly they have a very specific roadmap to get the game to where it needs to be vis-a-vis BlizzCon. And I think BlizzCon, when it is whatever is kind of a fixed point, and whatever their plans are, they need the game to be at the right place. So I feel like there is no time to let off the gas. There is no ability to say, oh yeah, this isn't quite right. Let's extend a week. I think that blows up whatever schedule they have to get to BlizzCon. So, I don't know anything. I don't know anyone at Blizzard. I think that is probably the answer, where in other times, if something was full of bugs and would benefit from another week, possibly even 2 weeks, they might have done that. I don't think they have that flexibility right now. And that's my guess. That's just a guess. It's as good a guess as any, right? We're not getting anything official. So I'm going to go with that. It seems logical. And really, that's the news. There's not much else going on. So this time, hey, I'm not going to comment a ton on the news and take up a lot of time because we have other things to do. And we're letting go of perfection, and we're not going crazy. We're gonna get this out, darn it. We're making good time. But, not gonna lie, I'm a little thirsty.
Let's go find something to drink. Shall we, Lily?
If beer gets you off your butt, then sure. Let's go find you some beer.
Well, there's little Lily, who's going to be taking over the lore walking duties from Lore Master Cho for at least a little while. So that's very exciting. Congratulations, Lily, on that promotion. It's like she's growing up before our eyes, isn't she? Well, to honor Chen's hope for some beer, I thought, okay, we're going to leave Moonglade behind because, the druids aren't drinking that much. But let's head to Half Hill Farm. Let's head to Half Hill, the town. Let's find, and you know what's difficult? Trying to honor Chen's hope for a beer. Not easy to find Storm Stout Brewery products from the vendors in Valley of the Four Winds, or even here in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. So, alas, we're going to settle on a flagon of Dwarven Mead. Because why not? We need something to quench this thirst, even at this early morning hour. So a flagon of Dwarven Mead shall be our beverage for the month. And we will continue trying to find those Storm Stout Brewery products, which, maybe because this character hasn't done the dungeon and the dungeon is in disarray. The brewery is in disarray. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yes, let's hang out in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms for a little bit. What's going on here in Mista Pandaria remix? The Siege of Orgrimmar has opened up, so there would be traffic here. People trooping in, doing their thing. But now that we've got a drink in me, and the throat is ready to go for the rest of this episode. I have a free idea for Blizzard.
All systems online!
Maybe we'll call this the Solo Queue Development Workshop or something. I don't know, but I have an idea. Honestly, I had this idea a little while ago, and I'm reading through it, and I can say right now, my idea is A, very good, B, probably never happen. But that's not to say that it shouldn't. Here's the idea. It builds on the whole follower dungeon thing, and don't even get me started on follower raids. It should apply to follower raids, the follower raids that have not been announced yet and possibly don't exist, and hopefully they will. Anyway, setting aside that and checking that box for this episode, hashtag follower raids, here's what I think should happen. Currently, you have 4 NPCs, I guess. Oh no, I guess there should be 5 that form your dungeon crew. You replace one of them, but obviously if you become a tank, the tank steps out and somebody else steps in DPS, same thing, the healing, whatever. Instead of just those 5, especially since people get annoyed, like, oh, it's the same 5 people. Why is it the same 5 people? Create a pool of, let's say, 20 NPCs. That is your follower stable. You've got 20 NPCs, you choose your team. So you go to a follower dungeon, and in that mode, you're going to have an extra party selection scene, essentially. Scene? Screen? That's the word I want. Screen. Party selection screen. Whether it's a dungeon or a raid, it's obviously you get to choose. You could choose different number of people. If it's a raid, maybe you choose 19 of them. Or 14 of them, or whatever. Maybe they make different, I don't know, like the raid sizes can vary. Is that correct? I don't tend to do those things. I know the Mythic Flex raid is coming. Is that later today? That's going to allow a 15 to 25. Mythic normally is just 20. The others, I don't really honestly know what LFR, normal, and heroic and all that stuff is. But aside from that, make the pool, if it needs to be bigger than that, make the pool 30. And that way you're choosing 20 or 19 or whatever. But you have followers to choose from. That's the idea. And those followers can, as you use them, they will level up. They will gain XP. They will gain, probably slight improvements on their abilities, on their skills, on their gear. And so essentially you can move through the dungeon system and the raid system with these followers. And you can earn loot. So I don't know how high that level should go. I'm not going to say you should be running mythic raids with AI and getting the same stuff, the same level. This is a chance to offer some growth and offer some higher levels to solo players. Now, here's why it won't happen. Because, this is going to do the thing that Blizzard's afraid of. It's going to pull people out of group content. So people who find group content too difficult to organize in their lives or commit to, they're just going to pull out of that system altogether. I would argue, and maybe wrongly, that that's okay for the game. The people who can't commit, who can't keep a schedule, get them out of there. Like I hear numerous other podcasters mention, I had a group and then 6 people didn't show up, or said they'd be there and then they weren't, or my normal group, it fluctuates a lot. And I don't want someone's normal group to disappear, but this could be an opportunity for people to do things in a different way. And if that means there are fewer people in groups, I guess, or maybe you can fill out your normal raid team. Oh, our raid team is 20. Only 17 showed up. Bring in 3 AI. I wonder if anyone would be interested in that. But again, the idea that those alts... Oh, sorry, I mentioned that. Hold on. Hold that thought. That those AI NPCs, I should say NPCs, those NPCs can level up for your character, for that character, or maybe it's for your warband. Oh, yes, maybe it's for your warband. My warband has 30 NPCs hanging out somewhere, and I can hire them out, and I can level them, obviously 4 for a dungeon or a whole bunch for a raid, whatever. And that's going to allow me to access higher and higher content. It's going to allow me, the player, to get some gear at those higher levels. Obviously not a full raid's worth. In this case, you would be one character getting raid gear. Not like if I were farming old content and I got everything the party would get. That would not be the case in this current content. Using the NPCs, you would get what would be a normal one person's worth of raid gear. I don't know. It's just an idea. Now, I mentioned the word alt. Wouldn't it be neat, of course, if your alts could serve as NPCs, essentially, inside of a group? Like, hey, I'd like to run a dungeon. I'd like the 4 other members of the dungeon run to be my alts. That's a whole different thing. That's probably a whole different tech thing. You certainly don't want to earn 5 times the experience and 5 times the gear and all of that stuff just because 4 of the 4 people in your dungeon are alts. So again, maybe they just get treated the same way as the NPCs. I don't know. I think a lot of us would love to run a dungeon full of our own characters. That would be a whole nother awesome addition, and probably another idea that's really, really complicated that we may not see. But hey, what do you think? Wouldn't it be neat to have some control over the crew that you're hauling into your follower dungeon, or your hopefully someday soon TM follower raid? That would be cool. That's my idea. We're going to keep moving on in this episode 40. I'm not even sure what we're moving on to next. Let me pause and gather my bearings and figure out. I think we have about two sections to go. Maybe 3. Hold that thought.
And what have you done lately?
Well, I guess we're going to turn our attention to that. What have I done lately? This answer to that question kind of comes in 2 parts. If you mean since the last episode, which is now numerous weeks, then yes, I have done things in the game. I have gotten in. I've been testing some things, trying some things that I'm going to report on in just a few minutes. So checking out a lot of those game systems, especially of the 12.0.7 stuff. You'll hear about that. But if you mean literally lately, like, oh man, no, not a lot lately. And I know that's a kind of a continuation of that burnout question that I kind of brought up in the last episode. And for me, it's a combination of things. It is definitely the real life obligations, the wrapping up of school, the busy schedule, my wife traveling. I thought, oh great, I'm gonna get in the game. I'm gonna pump out an episode. I'm gonna work on a second kind of bonus episode. And the things that I had to do while she was gone, and because she was gone, the combination of that stuff just literally kept me from sitting down and getting some free time in. And that was, that was a little disappointing. We all hit patches like this, right? We all hit things that get in the way of our fun time, our free time. And so, that has to be okay on a level. And yeah, I'm working to get some time. Hey, I'm talking to you right now. And so that's a good sign. The other part of it is what Sin mentioned in his email of, oh man, there's so many things. It can be a little overwhelming. What do I do? Well, a couple things. One, I wanted to kind of pivot away from what I've done, because you're going to hear about what I've done in the main topic in a few minutes. But I wanted to comment on, I guess it's a Wowhead article that I have not read, but I know that seems kind of lame, but too bad. Azeroth Morning Radio, great podcast. They recently, probably now a few weeks ago, brought up this Wowhead article that basically, threw out what I'm going to call like kind of trigger warning, rage baity, whatever title of, are there too many casual options in the game? And again, I'm not saying I've read the article. I'm going just off of that premise of, are there too many casual options? And, on one hand, I think one can take offense to that as a casual player the underlying question, are all of these casual options? Because no doubt there are many. Are these extra systems, particularly all of the slew that came out in 12.0.7, the hatful that are coming out today it's in 12.0.7, the wave that came out in 12.0.5, there's a lot of options in there. Are they taking away from other parts of the game? Is the game suffering? Are they just trying to do too much, which is a little bit more of a neutral position and not quite so targeting casual players, like your stuff is making our stuff bad? I think that's the wrong argument right from the start. It's a big game. There are a lot of casual players. By some estimates, there may be more casual players than those who are grouping. So let's all just enjoy all parts of the game. Now, bigger question, and the more fair question is, are there too many things that Blizzard is trying to add to the game? And are those watering down their ability to put out good quality content on a timely fashion? That's a real question. And as I was pondering that and listening to Cash and Jibs talk about that, it occurred to me, I feel like there are kind of two types of content, right? There's replayable content. And then, for lack of a better term, finite content. I'll talk about that in a second. First, replayable content. That's ongoing content like dungeons, raids, delves, things that you're going to get in. You're going to play them over and over again. You're going to do delves over and over because there's multiple stories. You're going to run dungeons at various levels, difficulty levels, myth plus levels. You're going to do the raid numerous times until you progress on all the bosses, what have you. And for each of those increased difficulties, there are increasing rewards. And, that's stuff that you can go back to later on and continue to do. The second category, the finite content, which I kind of want a better word for that, but hey, we're embracing imperfections here, right? That finite content is usually like expansion specific, possibly even patch specific. It has a finite task or set of tasks, and it has rewards that are commensurate. And it is kind of limited time, limited focus, like these mini games, these side systems. Some examples. Dastardly Duos jumps to my mind of a system that people did not necessarily like. The Horrific Visions, which appeared first in, PFA, and then made the return in The War Within, and are still, as far as I know, still out there in Dornegal. You can go and hop into that finite system. Like it is contained. It's not as connected to the story. The Abyss Anglers, what was the thing with the, I meant to do it and I didn't. It was the Dragonflight, the Blue Azure people, the Caligos, oh goodness gracious. Yeah, that system that I never got to. All of these systems, Mage Tower, like bolt-on systems. That's what I'm talking about by these sort of finite, contained systems. And of course, they are replayable. Like, I'm not saying they're not replayable. But they're kind of one-off systems, right? Torghast was a one-off system. All of these different things. And so you've got all of these different types. And I guess one of the things that I'm saying is we have these extra bolted on systems that, you know, it's a menu, right? I, for one, and I know some of you think the same way, you go to a restaurant and if there are 400 things on the menu, that's a lot. And I might just wave my finger and pick something. And in a game where, you know, your appetite is not limited to the size of your stomach, you might feel like you've got to get to all the things that, you know, of course, games are designed with FOMO in mind. Of course, they want you to spend more time in the game and do more things. I mean, you know, that is kind of the design. But here's the thing, that can go too far. While our game appetites are probably larger than our capacities of our stomachs, that doesn't mean we have infinite time. And so this issue of where do I put my attention is a valid one. Now, there's no answer to this. Ultimately, here's the question. Are there too many systems in the game right now? Yes. I think that's an easy answer. I think almost everyone would agree. There are too many different game systems. There are too many currencies. There are too many progression tracks. There's too many, hey, do this to do this to do this to get that. I've talked about this before. You know, it's almost too many to even research. Like, oh, which ones of these do I want to do? Well, let me sift through all the cosmetics that are available and figure out which one. And is this system theme playable and fun? Like, okay. How does Blizzard solve that? And again, here's where the answer is really tough. Is the answer, hey, Blizzard, make 10% fewer of these finite systems? Because let's just agree, right? I think we can hopefully all agree that dungeons, raids, and now delves, those systems, they're there. They're not going anywhere. They shouldn't go anywhere. You know, they can be tweaked and whatever. And, you know, we're seeing 4 raids in season 1 somehow, but it's still only we're going to be up to 10 bosses after today. Sure. But that's still a raid tier on some level. That's still a raid tier. And so that stuff's always going to exist. If you add 3 separate game systems to each patch, is that too many? If you add 4, is that too many? Is it 2? You know, remembering that some people are doing their professions, some people are making their own armor, or they're gathering, or what have you. You've got those systems. You have all of the rep systems that are built in, and I think a lot of us would agree that there's a little too much going on with reputation and how that is handled right now. There is all of the gearing and gear upgrading, and they've worked, again, to simplify that a bit. They've taken one of the elements out of that, but there's still a lot of get the crest to do this, to upgrade this crest, and go up to this and down to that. And so there are so many different systems. It kind of makes the cosmology chart look simple, right? Like, you know, as confusing as that might be, if you replaced all the forces of the universe with all of the game systems in a given season, yeah, you might need a new poster. So what is the answer? And once the answer is there, let's just assume Blizzard, has the answer. They're going to put out whatever they're going to put out. They don't really care whether some of us think it's too much, some of us think it's too little. They're going to find their answer. So, great. How can they better promote these things? How can they better preview these things? How can you show, never mind the new player, because that's not what we're talking about today. Just, I took a couple weeks off at the end of the season, and hey, it's June 16th, and the patch comes out. What am I doing? And then you log in, and you get hit with the, after the maintenance, you get hit with that nice little screen that says, hey, here's 3 things that are coming. Okay, that's not enough explanation. The adventure journal, can that be a better source of information? Can it give a loot preview? Can it do a better job of explaining what Abyss Anglers is, how it works, without actually having to go do it? I don't know. All of this is a lot. And if you have a lot of time in the game, then on some level, it probably still affects you, but it affects you less, of course. But if you are a time-crunched player, as I am, as some of you are, I guess, a solo player as well, but I don't think that actually matters. I think it applies to everybody. I've got a couple guiding principles. If you are a time-crunched player, here's a couple things I thought of, rules to kind of stick to help you focus, even when Blizzard isn't going to. Again, will there be previews? I don't know. I guess let me go through my guiding principles. Okay, number 1, not that they're necessarily numbered, but plan ahead. And I know you're like, but I'm time crunched. I don't have a lot of time. I know. And are you giving up a little bit of time to do a little bit of planning? Yes. But the win, the gain, the hope is that you are able to take back some of that time in efficiency. If you're in the game and you're not just piddling around whatever that expansion's capital city is, then maybe you're being more efficient and you're doing things more, in the game more efficiently. Hopefully, you've got boring moments at work or some other time where you can casually drift over to a document, do some brainstorming on what you want to do in WoW, do a little bit of research. You can listen to the next episode of your favorite WoW podcast and hopefully get something useful, some actionable items. Whatever it is, find little out-of-game moments to see if you can do some of that research and plan out what you're going to do in the game. Number 2, this is a little bit different. Try to set a schedule for playing, if this works for you. It might not work for you. It might not be realistic. It might not be necessary. I don't know. But if it is, come up with a schedule. And I think this is something I need to do. I do not do this yet, and I want to tell you that I'm going to, and I'm going to try. And I guess I'll report back on that, how it goes. But try and set up some sort of schedule, maybe even a repeating schedule. Part of it is for you. Part of it is saying, hey, this is my time. I'm looking forward to, it's Tuesday night. Or maybe it might be wiser to do Wednesday with all the bugs and things that have been coming out, but whatever. That was just a snarky comment. Sorry, withdrawn. Okay. Hey, Tuesday night, looking forward to, new patches out or weekly reset, whatever. I get back in, do the things I want to do. And it's good for you, but it's also good for the people around you who might want to interrupt you or even schedule you for something else. Like if you can say, I'm gonna make a plan where Tuesday nights and Thursday nights and Saturday those are my WoW times, and put them on a calendar, put them out there, And obviously everything in the world's negotiable, but at least you've put that out there and staked a claim, both, again, for yourself and for those around you. Number, 2.5, I guess, is be realistic with that plan. Don't say, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes in the game every day. That sounds attractive, but you can't do anything in 15 minutes in this game. Better to give yourself more time, right? Better to say, I'm going to go with an hour, but it's not going to be every day because I can't do that. Give yourself realistic amounts of time. Same thing. Oh my God, my wife's away. I'm going to play for 8 days straight, which somewhere buried in my mind, that was a distinct possibility, right? I'm going to do nothing else. It's going to be great. Yeah. Be realistic. One thing I know about myself, and I had slightly confirmed recently, was a little bit of I am very all or nothing. And that 8 days ended up being nothing. It was all something else. It was all working on a couple other things, and it was nothing in the Warcraft space. I think I was in game 17 minutes. I'm not even kidding. 17 minutes in the 8 days that she was gone. If you are an all or nothing person like I am, that can be hard to fight. And maybe giving yourself these calendar times is a way to help that. And last part of the goal setting, 2.7, I don't know, whatever. Have a goal for your play session. When you get in, think about your plan. I want to do this season. I want to focus on this system. Get in there and do those things. Try to not just putz around and wonder and then, do nothing and then get out. I think the key sometimes with anything that distracts us is this going to be something in an hour I'm going to regret doing? If you just putter around WoW for an hour and then get out because whatever, you're going to regret that. So try and give yourself some time that is focused on something specific. Now, what to focus on? Number 3, 4, I don't know. It's a bulleted list I'm looking at, so it doesn't even have numbers. I'm making up the numbers as I go. But you should definitely narrow your focus. Narrow your focus. Again, there is so much in the game. It is not all equally good. It's not all equally related to your play style. So as much as, hey, I want to try all the things, yeah, you don't have to be. You can be discerning with your time. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't try everything once. But you don't have to. So this is related to the narrow focus. It is a separate bullet, but whatever. Give up that dream of all the things. Give up on the FOMO thing. In this game has grown so large, it is no longer possible for any player, no matter how many hours you're playing, to get everything. You cannot do it. That's a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise. It should give you permission to say, okay, I can't get a 100%. So what's the point? Right? I know there's no real, maybe all the things, the add-on does this, but there's no number somewhere that says you are 80% done Warcraft. I think you can kind of fudge those things, but not really. Anyway, there is no grade. There is no percentage completion. Only the completions that you want to come up with. So years ago, I came up with, I want to do Lore Master. Okay, great. How many expansions have I not done it yet? How many zones? What do I have to do? I came up with the chart. I narrowed my focus. Do something like that. Focus on the things that you want to get done. But don't feel like you have to do everything, especially with those limited time systems. Kind of the last one, sort of, I guess. Yeah, kind of the last one. And related to that, let the Great Vault guide you. The Great Vault has been a great addition to the game, especially if you are a solo player, with the addition of delves. because now delves and other world events increasingly are helping you to get to fill out your boxes in the Great Vault and expand your options. So, hey, again, especially if you're a solo player, prioritize things that are gonna add to your gear. The world tier activities, delves of a certain level, all of that stuff. What is really good, one of the great little improvements in the game is when you hover over the world, not the world tier, but any box in the Great Vault, it will tell you, hey, what do you need to do to get to this, to complete this box? You need to do 2 delves. You need to do 4 more delves. You need to, whatever it is. And then it will tell you what you need to do to boost the level, the item level of that box. It's currently 257, but if you want 275 or whatever, do this. Hover over those. Use that. Let that guide you. If the Great Vault's great for helping you focus, it may not have the things you want, and if not, that's fine. But if you want to keep that gear moving up, you want to get something from the vault, let that be like the Tuesday version of your play game. Hey, let me check out my Great Vault. What do I need to do? That's my play session. There's some good tips there. I can tell you I take almost none of them. I do almost none of them, and I will be working on this. I think I need to come up with a 3-day schedule, and there's always room for more. My summer is not going to be completely busy forever, but I gotta find a way to dedicate, hey, this is me time, this is WoW time. See if you can do that yourself. Be focused on the things you're actually doing. Yeah, all in service of trying to defeat the burnout boss or the overwhelmed boss or whatever is afflicting you. Before we get to the main topic, I promised you a top 10 list, and here is that top 10. It's related. These are my top 10 favorite activities in the game. Like sort of repeating, non-specific. I'm not saying, oh, I love this raid or no. Just general activities, and you can employ these to help you fight burnout. And some of them are current, some of them dig back. So let me go through my top 10 favorite things to do when playing Warcraft. Number 1, playing the starting zones, the racial starting zones. I love going through the starting zones. I've gone through them all. You maybe have gone through them all, but maybe not. Maybe there's some, some races that you wouldn't necessarily play, but start a character, jump in and get through that zone. There's good story in there. There's good adventure. If you want something that's a little bit disconnected from what's current, anything that's going on, and you want to settle into something like that, hop into one of the player starting zones, the racial starting zones, or play through any zone that has story. Like if there's a particular story expansion that you dig, go back to one of those zones and proceed through it with the story in mind rather than the leveling or the progression or I need to get to blah, blah, blah. Hit the quests. And I know, back in the older expansions, they're not doing the campaign quest in the same way as they do now and separating side quests. That's okay. Just immerse yourself. Okay. Number 2, the Heritage Armor quest lines. Again, you're going to need a character of a certain, race, a certain level of that race, and to undertake these, but that can be a great long-term goal. The Heritage Armor quest lines are all, some are better than others. Some are longer than others. They all have bits of story, and they all have parts of the game that somebody else has seen because they play that class, that race. You should too. You should hop in. and get that story. Those are a lot of fun. You might combine that with number 1. Hop into a starting zone, start leveling that character with the goal of, I believe it's getting to level 50. That used to be the level. I don't think that has changed. So get that character to level 50, and then you can undertake the Heritage Armor quest line. It'll be in your dungeon journal, your adventure journal guide, but also it should pop when you hit level 50 and you're ready. It should show up. Number 3, gathering professions. This is another way of tossing, what's current aside and saying, I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to go skinning or herbing or mining. It doesn't even have to be current. Just go grab some OG materials in whatever zones. It can be nice just to, maybe you put on some different music. Maybe some people like to watch something while they're just meandering through Azeroth. I'm always a fan of listening to the game when I'm playing the game, but I get it. You want to do some mindless sort of in-game, but not really focused. Gathering can be great and very not competitive if you're gathering from old zones. So try that. Number 4, slightly related, leveling up older professions. Every now and then I get a little bug in my craw that says, hey, I gotta get my mail leveled, my blacksmithing leveled so I can go make some patterns from Pandaria or something. Especially if you've got particular weapon or armor appearances that you would like, figure out the crafting profession and level those up. And this is a great place to use a guide. I know there's a lot of, I forget the name of the one I usually come back to. It's not Zygor, it's something else. WoW Professions, like WoW-Professions, I think might be the website. But anyway, there are good guides that say, hey, if you want to level up your Burning Crusade blacksmithing, here's the plan, here's the path. Here's what you need for materials. Here's the recipes you should do. This is the efficient way to go from 1 to 100. Do we still do 1 to 100? I think we do. To level up your skill progression. And again, this can be a great side quest to get away from it all, to get away from the busy capital cities and go do something in older zones. You're wandering aimlessly through a 10, 15-year-old or even older skill progression. Sometimes the recipes that you need, they're available from certain bosses or other places in the game that can take you in some interesting directions. So, check out your older professions. Number 5, coming up with new projects to do in Warcraft, which could include any of the previous ones, but particularly I always think of, like I mentioned, Lore Master. When it was time to do Lore Master, okay, that's a job. And, I guess I'm cheating a little bit because number 6 is very similar. It's related to coming up with a new project, but I get really excited when something pops in my head for a project and fleshing it out and doing a little research and coming up with, okay, what's this going to be? Number 6 is, this might sound familiar, making a spreadsheet. No, you too can be a spreadsheet person. Once you come up with that project, a lot of times, the next thing that happens is a spreadsheet of usually characters, like who's going to undertake this, what are the tasks, what are the job assignments, who's going to do all this stuff. So keeping track of that. Long ago, I gave up with trying to remember what I was trying to do in WoW. Especially early on, I would play for a month or two, and then I'd take a couple months off, and then I'd come back and be like, what was I even doing? And eventually I learned, I've got to write this stuff down. I've got to keep track of these bigger, longer term things I'd like to do. Some of them I've done. Some of them are still sitting there unaccomplished, and that's okay. But sometimes part of the fun is just planning, like thinking and doing that little research to come up with a little project for yourself. That's something I love doing. That's why it's on this list. Number 7, delves, period. Like delves I love running delves because they are longer bits of content. They're focused. They're, there's a task. They're pausable, meaning I can just stop. There's no pause button in WoW. Mom, it can't pause it. It's a live game. Well, don't tell your mom, but you can pause in delves. You can find a place to sit and hang out, and Valera turns invisible and picks at her weapons a bit or whatever. Delves are a great addition to the game. I love them for, hey, I'm just going to go do some delves. Oh, I got to run down to do a thing. Great. Pause. No problem. No timer. No pressure. Nobody else is there. Yeah. Number 8, one-shotting old dungeons and raids. Like going back for transmog, going back for mounts, whatever it is. I have numerous spreadsheets of dungeons and raids, both with appearances that I want to collect. You got to run those a few times to get all the things from that tier level. Mounts that are super rare drops, farmables, like your Ashes of Alar, your Invincibles, your all those things, all those little projects. Again, related to spreadsheets. I've got them all, and I like to, I'm not super organized about it right now, but I have been in past years figuring out, okay, this character is going to run just this raid. They just sit outside of that raid, or they sit in the tavern nearby, and they just run. I've got a couple. The only thing I have like that right now is I have a couple characters sitting outside of Dragon Soul. They just live in the caverns of time, and they run Dragon Soul whenever I feel like running Dragon Soul. That's a great way to collect some of those older things, and you can target like, oh, I really love this tier set. Here is the one raid or the 2 raids I need to do to get it. Number 9, focusing on the story. The story of Warcraft. For all the crap that it gets, there is story in there. And this story is not necessarily in the game. Like, you can be a part of Azeroth and not be in game. There's so much written media outside of the game. There are short stories. There are cartoons or graphic novels, or I don't know, whatever we call those things. The novels. There's a lot of stuff you can grab. Now, there's also non-Blizzard content. There are so many great people who make lore videos or podcasts. You can dive into the lore walking. Maybe you haven't done some of those lore walking things, and Lily is happy to help you starting later today. Hop into lore walking, but look at the story. Focus on the story. Like, take a break from systems and reputations and, game mechanics and spells and levels and experience and blah, 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 blah. Like, strip all of that stuff out. So many of the stories in Warcraft, especially like the short stories and the novels, you feel like you're in the game without all of that distracting stuff. The spells are the same, but they're not like, oh, by rotation, I can only do this in 1 point whatever seconds. So it takes away a lot of that distraction. That's a great way to, especially if you're a little bit burned out about being in the game, hop into the stories. Number 10. And this one, honest to God, might be my favorite. And I don't get to do it as often as I would like, because, I'm running out. Number 10 is naming a character. And this might not apply to you. It might not apply to a lot of people. But I love coming up with a new character. Like, I don't have one of these. Blah, race, class, combo. You see it in game, or you just think of it or whatever. And naming that character is one of my favorite things to do. I research, I start doing a deep dive into linguistics and Google Translate, and a lot of times I try and come up with a root word that describes what this character is going to be doing. And, it could be as simple as demon hunter. And then you look for different languages, the words demon, the word hunter. When you pull in some cool words and start pushing stuff together, the people of that country, the language that you are appropriating a little bit might think, oh, that's a dumb name. And it might be. But to me, not knowing that language, but loving language and words and how things get put together, it's so much fun. Number 10 is, literally naming a character. And as you know, I only have one character slot left. So it's a rare thing, a rare time I get to do that. But that is one of my favorite things to do. All right, I have a bonus one. I guess maybe number 11. Bonus in the top 10 list here. Because it isn't really playing in the game. I do this a lot. And that is, if I can't be in the game and even near the game, a lot of times I will pop on zone music, zone ambience from YouTube channels. And while I'm working, putting on Ghostlands, old Eversong Woods, Mulgore, some of my favorites. I love listening to those while I'm trying to work, while I'm trying to grade, while I'm just plowing through whatever. There's a couple channels I recommend. The first one I ever came across was Everness. Everness has not put out videos in many, many years. So, but he's got some great of the more classic zones. Maceo is another one who is putting out a lot and continues to put out a lot. Azeroth Ambiance is one of the more recent ones that I found. But, search YouTube, Warcraft, zone music, and you're gonna get a treasure trove. If you are someone who appreciates the music and you love it and you can't have enough of it, boy, this can be great. It's not really white noise, but it might be to you if you've played long enough. Like, it's just background while you have to go do your IRL things. That's what I've been up to in the game, and also things I like to do in the game. Take that as you will. I hope it's helpful. And I hope, hope something in there is helpful for you to kind of dodge burnout and to find a different way to get in and play the game. Okay, it is time to head for home. Turn our attention to the main topic of this June episode.
Let's get down to business.
There are times when I think the best part of this show is when my WoW life mirrors my real life, and that is coming to an intersection in this segment here. It's the end of the school year, as you've heard me belabor. And what comes at the end of the school year other than great relief and a sprint to the exit? A report card. And so I thought, hey, why not double my work and not just do report cards for all of my ancient history students, but why not give a report card to the World of Warcraft? And so this month, the main topic is going through the systems that are in the game. Most of this is a 12.0.5 report card, as we literally hit the end of this aspect of Season 1. We've got new features coming, and so I thought I would give you my grades for the things that are in the game right now. And it's going to include some basic Midnight stuff and the features of 12.0.5. Now, how did I grade these things? The first question any student's going to ask, hey, why did I get this wrong? Hey, how did you grade this? Hey, why did Delves get an A and I didn't? Well, you're going to find out. But essentially, I graded this on me. Like, how did I enjoy these things? Now, I try and extrapolate a little bit and generalize myself a little bit to be I am a solo player. I'm a relatively casual player. And none of that's really hard. It's not really generalized, but I do try and get past just my own personal opinion. And there's a few places where I'm going to give you my opinion with 1 grade, and then what I think probably everybody else is kind of thinking based on what I see. But essentially, hey, how playable are these things? How well is the system? This phrase comes up. I know I mentioned it with Rak and Kael. I think I've even mentioned it here. How well does the system honor your time in the game? And hey, if you're getting 20 hours a week in the game, that's probably a little less important than if you're getting scant time in the game, where it becomes paramount to, hey, maximize what you're doing. And so let's take a look at this way. Is it good for you to be tackling this if you are kind of a slightly time crunched, slightly casual player? I'm going to give you my opinion. So the 12.0.5 report card. These are in no particular order. I kind of gave them an order, but I honestly am not sure what my reasoning was for the order. So pay no attention to the order. It's not good to bad. It's not first to last. There's nothing to it. I did want to start with 2 things that are not actual. They're not actual systems that you're actively participating in, but I did feel that they were worth a mention. And the first one is the Great Vault. Great Vault, of course, not a participatory feature, but I did want to give it a grade, kind of a, hey, I know you're out there, and I want to recognize the improvements that you've made. The Great Vault has done a really good job of adding detail. And I did mention this earlier when I said, hey, use the Great Vault to guide your week, guide your play. And it is the feature that makes it the most useful that I want to honor here. And that is that hovering over a box will tell you what you need to either complete the box so that you can have an option at the end of the week, or what you need to do to boost the level of that box. I mean, that's a big a visibility thing. That's a great accessibility to the feature for everybody. Now it's not a black box like, oh, I did a bunch of things. What'll I get? It used to be you just could see, yep, I lit up 3 boxes or 2 or 1. Now you know what you need to do to keep going, and that's great. Secondary to that is just the fact that that bottom row of what used to be delves is now world activities tier, including delves, world activities, prey, ritual sites. Like, I think the variety in that lane of the Great Vault is great. It is, a variety for solo players. Hey, if you're raiding is a mainstay of the game, and boom. If you're raiding, do more, you'll get more options. Same thing with dungeons, Mythic Plus dungeons. Do more, you're going to get more. Or you're doing lesser dungeons, you're getting a lower score. So all of that is there. Having the row for delves and other activities, prey, ritual sites, what have you, and with their fluctuating scales, or fluctuating difficulties, perfect. And I think they've done the math really well on that. So A+ for the Great Vault. That's a good start. There's another little reporting feature, visibility feature that I want to give a grade for, and that is when you finish an activity. If you do an Abyss Anglers, if you do a ritual site, if you do an abundance, I think even some other activities, at the end of that activity, a little box pops up with a lot of information. Hey, you earned this and you earned that, and you do, and here's your final score. That's really cool too. I like that a lot. I'm going to give that an A. I think there's probably a little room for some clarity and some tweaking in there, but having an after-action report for some of these systems, here's where my naming convention goes all to hell. I called them the finite systems. but you're going to repeat them. Like, that's why repeatable doesn't work. Forget everything I said. Forget this entire episode. I quit. No, whatever you want to call them. Those activities that you're going to jump in and you're going to do, and you're going to jump in, you're going to do, whether it's diving down and getting the fish or whether it's collecting the abundance, seeing how you scored and therefore a little bit of insight into what you could do better or what you could target differently, I think that's great. So Blizzard, well done. A for that. Whatever you want to call it, the little after action. Let's call it the after action report. I like that. Next feature is a big one, especially for solo players, and that is delves. And the grade at the end is not going to surprise you, I don't think, if you've been listening at all. So far, I've enjoyed each of the delves. I've now done all of them. I feel like in Midnight, they've learned some really good lessons from the War Within. They scrapped some things that were not working, like the underwater zones were just not engaging. The carry the candle or air purifier gimmicks, those are out the window. I think that's good. Each of these 10 delves feels playable. The tuning feels decent. I think the ramp is actually a little bit easier. You know, it's tough. I think delves are in a funny spot because, and they always have been, people want an option that isn't Mythic Plus dungeons, but this isn't it. And for, over the couple years now, the complaints I've heard of, delves aren't hard enough. Tier 11s aren't hard enough. I can just, crank them out because I've done, plus 12 myth keys and I'm a heroic raider, and that's okay. Delves don't have to be for you. Raids aren't for me. And I'm not here complaining that heroic raid is too hard or too easy. And so I don't mind, Now, does that leave Blizzard room to treat delves kind of like the Myth Plus system in that it doesn't have to stop at 11, could keep going up? I guess, yeah. I personally don't get up that high. And so I don't really care what they do at the top end. I think it's fine that delves can max out. And in that way, I don't mind that delves are a little bit of a junior partner in the three pillars of endgame content now. I don't mind that they are junior to the Myth Plus system. That's okay. And I think other people should be okay with that too. Not everything has to, I was going to say go to 11, but delves do go to 11. So I guess we can't make a Spinal Tap reference here. It just, it kind of falls flat. Thanks, Blizzard. You ruined my joke. Not everything can go up to 12. I don't know. Not everything needs to be, a kind of a max level or anything like that. So I hope other people doing delves feel the same way. And, I'm okay with the idea that, hey, once you're good enough, you get to move on. So, hey, go for it. As far as the delves themselves, I guess I'm not going to really go through each one. There are points that I like for a lot of them. A few of them, they're not my favorites. The Twilight Crypts, I don't love all the weird switching doors and walls. I get it. I like that it's there. It's not my favorite, which is not the same as I really don't like the candle thing or I really don't like the air purifier. Like, that shouldn't be there. I'm okay with it. It's just not my favorite. And I feel like there's a bunch of that. The things that I didn't necessarily like are not a problem. Are not, you should get rid of this. The Gulf of Memory in Harandar. I loved that they had the big candles. Kind of a funny joke on that previous system, but not the same system, which was really nice. A little bit of, I don't know, I thought it was a little bit of humor to that. Sunkiller Sanctum had flight points inside of it. That was crazy. Trying something new out. I didn't actually use them, so I don't know. And I haven't done enough of the other story bits on that one to kind of know. Yeah, I like how they mix things up a little bit. The Parhelion Plaza, different mechanic to light up the 3 sentinels to destroy the pillars, and especially a neat callback to the opening, questing of Midnight. So a lot of good stuff in Delves. I am going to give them an A, possibly an A+. In my mind, I think they're great. I probably need to do a few more. I think I got up to a 9, and so I'm not really done. That's as high as I've gone. I think I've done 1 9 before, and so I'm maybe gonna try and do that Nemesis dungeon, which I've never done. So I'm looking forward to that. If you listen to my interview with Rak and Kael, where I made the claim that I'm not terribly skilled in this game, I'm not lying, guys. I'm not making that up. This is not some flex on my part. I really, I top out lower than a lot of other people. So, and I'm okay with that. Okay, moving on from our A+ range in the Delves. Dungeons. The next 2 entries, you're going to guess what they are. I don't have great grades for you. Dungeons, incomplete. I still have 2 to do. Nexus Point Zenith and the Voidscar Arena I have not done. And obviously all the others I've done are follower dungeons. And here's where the split grading starts. In this case, I've enjoyed... actually, you know what? I've not done Windrunner Spire. I need to do that one too. Oh, goodness. Okay. I have enjoyed the dungeons that I've done. I think the content is good. And on a content standpoint, I'm going to say B+. There's room for that to go up when I, do the last couple dungeons. Looking at my list, I mistakenly thought some things were done, but I'm realizing, no, I haven't finished everything. Here's the problem. They're terrible as follower dungeons. And that is on the principle of not honoring your time. The time invested versus what you take out of it. That equation is off kilter with follower dungeons, because a half hour, I remember saying this a few episodes ago, half hour, okay, not bad, I guess, kind of. It's too long. If they're all a half hour, the first follower dungeon I do when I'm, level 81 or whatever, like early on, I was like, okay, whatever. But the fact that there's still a half hour is not okay. That's too long. And, is it the AI followers? Maybe. I don't mind their behavior. The exception to that might be how much damage they do, which I don't pay a lot of attention to, although I look at the little damage meter up there and I seem to be, I think I am all 4 of them put together. So what does that mean? I don't know. Maybe it's, they don't do enough damage and therefore we don't move fast enough. Or maybe everything's just tuned a little bit too hard. But I don't want to spend 30 minutes in the game and get, a crappy pair of pants or a hat full of gold. Like the rewards for follower dungeons are appropriate if you're not dragging them out for so long. So I don't want to belabor that point, but follower dungeons, really great concept, but they need some tweaking, and they need, like we said earlier in the, hey, give us a crop of people we can choose from, NPCs we can choose from. It needs something. It's a great idea, but it needs more iteration, and hopefully that's coming. And at the very least, it needs more tuning on time invested versus rewards given. Because it's not difficult. The difficulty is correct, but it's a slog. So that's a different kind of difficulty. Let's move on to raids. Oh, I didn't give you I'm going to say C+ for follower dungeons. Like based on that whole argument, C+, whereas the content is much better. B+, possibly even higher when I get off my keister and get in there and finish them. All right, on to raids. Full disclosure, these are the things I know the least about. I am not the judge for raiding. In fact, I've only seen one of these bosses, and that was Ilaria in the Voidspire raid. Because, of course, I did it on story mode. And again, if you're paying attention, say it with me, story mode gets a D. Period. It is bad. It might get less, but I tend to be a relatively easy grader and I don't like failing people. It's way too difficult. Again, way too long, but this time it's because it's difficult. And it doesn't honor the time principle. I mean, you really get nothing for story mode. And yet, that fight took a while. I can't remember if I died. I know other people I've talked to have died in the fight. Like, what? And I get it. I think I may have once in Ilaria. And the previous story mode boss was also way too hard. Like, this is 2 in a row that should not be so difficult. I definitely died numerous times in the previous one. So story mode, you know what? No. D is way too nice. You're right. I am going to fail story mode. What is my point? I hate it because it doesn't have story. For story mode to work, and I'm sorry if you've heard me say this before, but it has to say, hey, here's the first, in this case, Voidspire. Here are the first 5 bosses. Let's walk you through real quick. You don't even have to do the fight. We're just going to tell you, we're going to walk you through. Oh, we just got to the end. We saw the end of the fight from behind the wall. You know what story mode is? I just realized it. I've mentioned this raid before, and I'm going to get it wrong. Nizao Temple, maybe. It's in Pandaria. It's the one where you battle Elegon, and it's got the Great Mount, and you run through it with Lore Master Cho. Lore Walker Cho. Sorry, Cho. And so what does Cho do at every battle? He goes and hides. He literally is like, ooh, it's going to get spicy here. I'm going to go duck behind this thing, or I'm going to go around the wall, or, oh, I just got here and you finished. That's what story mode should be. It should be Lore Walker Cho running behind you going, oh, look, you've beaten the bad guys. Wonderful. Ha, ha, ha. That's story mode. Appropriately so, he's doing story mode. We get to see, like, Cho gets to see all of the bosses. And then, sure, you want to have a pared down, scaled down, actually pared down, scaled down fight at the end. Great. Again, make it tourist mode. I'm okay with that. But actually make it tourist mode. As I said, in response to, I think it was Rak, you should not have to get a boss guide for a story mode fight. That should be an oxymoron. So yeah, I'm changing my raids. It's an F. Story mode gets an F. At some point I should hop in and see the Dream Rift. I should hop in and see the March to Quell Danas, because they don't have story mode, but they are parts of the story. So yeah. Or did I do March to Quell Danas? Maybe we did that. I don't remember now. Yeah, I don't remember. Okay. Moving on from my faltering memory. Next on the list, again, through no apparent order, the Stormarian Assaults. Not a 12.0.5 feature. This was a launch feature, but I never got around to doing it until gathering information for this list. I heard a lot of people complain about it on other things, and when I got there with my open mind, I was like, all right, maybe it's better, maybe it's whatever. Nah. Now, this is last patch. It's not, it's not current content. I went there on a Tuesday, so hopefully there were people there to participate. fresh weekly thing. It was fine, although it took some time to kill the 2 elites when no one's around. That was tricky. I don't know what the reward structure is. The gameplay didn't really grab me. Once you get there, there's a whole bunch of weekly quests that you can grab, but it seemed a little disjointed. And so I'm going to say Stormarian Assaults get a C+. Maybe it would be a little bit higher if there was some loot that I liked, but honestly, it's one of those things where I'm not going to go and research it. I don't know what the loot is. If there was an easier way for me to find it, maybe I would. I guess I can go into the dressing room where you can look at all of your outfits, but it's not always clear what the source is. Is this a Stormarian Assault outfit? Is it 2 parts are from this and 2 parts from something else? I'm not sure. So again, a clarity thing. And I know it seems like a lot to ask. If I want to know, I should be able to just go look it up. Yeah, kinda. But there are so many of these individual systems, I could be researching forever and never play the game. That's, I think, ultimately the problem I have. So one solution is have fewer of these things going on. And ultimately, I do think that's part of the answer. Don't have so many things. It's okay to not engage your players every minute of the 8-week cycle and try and game the system of, oh, looks like they just finished. Let's drop another patch. No rest for the wicked. Like, that doesn't feel great. Okay, C+, Stormarian Assaults. Okay, not the worst, not the best. Moving on. Prey. This is definitely an incomplete grade, but it too is going to get a C+. And I know other people like it, and I say that knowing that, but it doesn't feel engaging enough to me. It doesn't feel efficient enough for me to continue. I've done a couple of them on normal. It feels a little clunky, the weird little stages. You know, I hear people say, oh yeah, I'll just do this while I'm out questing and doing whatever. Like, I don't know. It kind of grabs the attention, and that kind of feels like the thing I'm doing until it's done. And then if I want to do all 4 of them, I have to go back to Silver Moon City and then go out to the other zone. I can't collect all 4 prey hunts at the same time. I can do one at a time. That feels clunky and time consuming. And, you know, for those reasons, I'm not really engaging in it. I probably will not go back to it, or it'll be after I've accomplished some other things. And so, yeah, C+. Sorry, Prey. Okay, Abundance. Abundance is a weekly 3-minute, 80-level group-oriented event in 4 specific zones, providing crafting materials, profession knowledge, and unique rewards like the Amani Sunfeather Mount. Players use Shards of Dundun, which is by far my least favorite word in Warcraft in a long time. Dundun. I do not like it. Sorry. Use that to unlock the Abundant Harvest to collect unalloyed abundance currency for vendors. Holy crap. Really? I just read one sentence that made up 3 currencies. Or maybe 2 with another thing. Like, come on. It's almost like they're trolling. Like, how many currencies can we create and still get people to participate? Yeah, abundance, not my jam either. Now, the amount might be okay, but in this case, it doesn't feel worth the grind. Like, this grind doesn't feel worth it. You know, again, I might be a slightly easy grader. C+. I've been in there a couple times. I've done one in each of the places. You run around. It's a weird system. It feels like a video game level inside of the game. It doesn't feel like an activity you might encounter in the world. And therefore, it doesn't feel like a role-playing thing. It feels like, hey, you've got a secret video game level. where you go do a thing and you just grab a bunch of stuff. Like, okay. Yeah. Whereas other things fit a little better into gameplay. For example, Prey, not my favorite, but it felt like, oh yeah, this guy's making me go out and hunt things down, and I get closer, and I get that it's a little formulaic, but I see it. I can kind of buy into that, engage in that system. Abundance doesn't feel engaging. It doesn't feel realistic in any way, even in the world we're trying to play around in. So I guess that's off-putting for me too. Thought, you know what? I'm going to definitely lean into that C- for that. All right. Heading further down the report card. Probably about the halfway point. Void assaults, void incursions, that whole system. This is definitely a mixed system for me, which means you might be able to predict the grade, but at first it seemed really boring and really mundane. And the first one I did was Zulamon. Then I started to pick up on the variation of the different types of void strikes. I think those are the small ones. I don't know. There's so many terminology things here. The little mini ones that last for 5-10 minutes. But yeah, I don't know. And then you do those, and every once in a while it comes to fruition that the big boss shows up, and then it starts over. And for that reason, it seems a little naked. It seems, again, a little bit video gamey, as opposed to, hey, we just defeated the thing. Oh, it's back. Hey, we just defeated the same thing. Oh, it's back. Like, I always feel that way about world bosses, but world bosses are at least weekly. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I killed that once. We're good. Now I can just fly by it and pretend it's not there. But this one's odd. Now, Eversong Woods, I didn't really like. Yeah, the final boss I didn't like. I thought the minor things, the strikes were eh. Eversong Woods, I'm sorry if I said Zulamon was the first one I did, and Zulamon I did not like. Eversong Woods seemed much better, oddly. Like, I I thought that was strange. Like, it just, I'm not even sure why. Yet the end boss is still an end boss, but for some reason, I don't know why. It's still an end boss. It's still a thing. They're very similar, but I really liked Eversong Woods. That said, okay, yep, you get field accolades. That's another currency. That's another system that I can buy into. That's another reward track that I'm not really sure what's on it and what's on offer, and I have to go find vendors and this and that, and there's too much. It's another one where it's too much. I have in my notes here, maybe we need to repurpose Heroes Call boards, which are utterly useless in the game now, right? You're never checking, or so rarely are you checking a Heroes Call board for actually like, hey, what zone should I do next? Maybe those need to be repurposed, and in game you can head to the Heroes Call board and pull up all that information on, hey, go do this. Instead of go do this zone, it's go do this, and here are the rewards. Go do that, and here are the cosmetics. Or it's in the adventure journal. I don't know. And this comment can be spread out to all of these things. It's not just field accolades. Yeah, I don't know. The idea that this thing is the equivalent of a world boss at the end of each of these, if you hang out long enough to catch one, it's a world boss basically, except it's hourly-ish, and it doesn't nearly give meaningful gear. It was not super impactful, the ones that I've killed, and maybe they changed it. I don't think so. Maybe change that. Maybe kind of like a world boss, kill it once in your world band, your warband and you get something once a week. You don't have to repeat it. You can, but it's not going to shoot out all the gear, but make it meaningful at least once. I don't want to do this more than once. That said, relatively painless. It's certainly, it kind of respects your time unless you're really waiting for that final thing. If you have the quest to just go do, was it 5 or 6 or whatever of the minor things, that takes a little time, but not bad. So my grade for void assaults, void incursions, void strikes, void anomalies, void absurdities, whatever all of these things are collectively called, I'm going to give it a B plus. Nope, sorry, B minus. It seems okay. It gets kind of samey kind of quickly, and that odd fact that I really enjoy one more than the other just seems a little strange. Okay, next up, decor duels. Ooh, nope. I probably don't need to say much more. I feel like everyone is either, yeah, I like this and it was kind of cool, or no. And I'm in the no. I played it once. I was bored. I don't really like PvP. And even in this silly form, I don't like PvP. In a way, it's similar to Plunderstorm, except the game itself is way less interesting. It's not super obvious how it all works. I know they walk you through it, but even that, it's sort of like, this is strange. It seems way overtuned towards the Seekers, which seems stupid. Now, I get it. In a duel, you are both sides, but what's the point if one side is just heavily favored? Why bother? Just because you do both things doesn't make it balanced. It makes it weirdly out of balance. You just have to do both sides of the imbalance. So, tuned towards Seekers, that final 30-second run where you're not hiding, that's just strange. The bugs that show up around you seem to do it within like 10 seconds. Like, okay, I haven't been here long, and already there's a thing saying, like, might as well be an arrow. Hey, I'm right here. It's really close to being interesting, but for me, it really fell short. So ultimately, is it something I want to spend my precious time in Azeroth doing? Not a chance. Nope. For this, I wasn't even going to look at the rewards so that I'm not tempted. Because this Plunderstorm, I found my fun. Like, it was PvP, kinda. I could make it so that I was playing it my way and I got what I wanted out of Plunderstorm. I don't see that path with decor duels. I don't see hey, how am I going to make this a solo thing? How am I going to kind of shut out the PvP part of this? I could just go AFK for 3 minutes or whatever the thing is and just be bored and slog through and hope I eventually grab enough currency to do a thing. I don't know. Nope. So in my notes here, I said, for me personally, I give it a D. It's bad. But this is a case where the student might find out that I didn't spend much time actually looking at this and grading it, because I didn't. I glanced at this essay, thought it was trash, gave it a D, moved on. Generically, as a feature in the game, trying to be objective, I think it's closer to a B minus or a C plus. I think, obviously the people who enjoy it, great, awesome. But I really do think the gameplay is not as engaging as it could be. It's very unbalanced. And for that reason, yeah, I don't think it's great game design, even without my personal preferences there. So it's a very middling grade, but me personally, not doing it. So if you want to be exactly like me, which I don't recommend, but if you do, don't do decor duels. There you go. The Abyss Anglers. We're coming down to the last couple here. the Abyss Anglers. This was interesting. I guess it's okay. Maybe. I guess. I'm kind of reading the notes I made, like lots of question marks, lots of uncertainty. Let me just read some of the stuff I got. The structure of this is unique. You go on these underwater runs. You're limited by your oxygen, which is kind of neat. So it's relatively short term, quick in, relatively quick out. You catch fish, firing your spear. The spear is unwieldy. Like, that system feels like it could be refined. It is not great. It's the underwater 3D thing, but this time at a distance, trying to, vector and shoot it. Like, it's unwieldy at best, but it's fine. But the thing is, the more you catch, the more points you earn, the more thing. Like, it would be better if that system were less unwieldy. You have different fish, different rarities of fish. They take more hits to defeat, but more hits gets more points. It can also open up more treasures. It's nice that you can find a couple places to fill up your oxygen, and then you can end your run by surfacing. Or you can just run out and you're magically transported back to the dock, although you do lose the opportunity to get 1,000 points. So there's some cool moments. You're engaging a big fish, you're running out of oxygen, you're hoping to get those last couple things in there. I remember I grabbed an epic fish with 17 scales, and so it needed 18 hits total to capture, and I literally got it as I was running out of oxygen. Those moments of gameplay are kind of fun. The problem is you quickly realize that the grind to get the rewards is going to be it's going to be a long one. A lot of what you're buying are upgrades to make yourself more powerful and to last longer. You get that from grinding these weird achievements, and it's not just, hey, I got 50 fish, now I'm at level 2. Now I got 100 and I'm at level 3, 150. Like, there's some of that, but then you also have to go get this fish or do this weird thing or do that. And so that's not bad, but it forces you to jump into the achievements panel. Like, that's not, and scroll down past all the other achievements. It almost needs its own, I guess, falling on the idea I had before, the Heroes Call board. Maybe it needs a specialized Heroes Call board right by the dock where you can click on it and boom, just the achievements for Abyss Anglers are there. You don't have to open the whole achievements tab and click into this and find that and scroll past or do a search. And that would be good. Its own scoreboard. And I feel like this more than, and maybe every one of these individual systems needs something like this, but this one more than the others, because you do have all sorts of weird ways to get the things. So it's kind of a double step process. You go to the vendor, you say, hey, vendor guy, I just got back from the water. I have this other currency, of course, that I can only spend with you. So what can I buy? And you're like, oh, well, I have these things available, but this one you need this achievement, and this one you need this achievement. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I got to go open in a separate screen that achievement to figure out what it is, what I need to do. I didn't think I was going to like this. It all feels like a lot, right? But as sometimes happens with these things, I don't expect it, and then it hits me and it starts. And I got excited because I hit an achievement, and it was, something that opened up a piece of gear, and now I was like, okay, I'm starting to get it. Okay, that, and then you just start like, okay, well, I'm gonna find another one. And I think part of it was out of spite. Like, really, maybe not really, but it was sort of like, okay, fine. What do I need to do next? Whatever, this achievement thing's weird, but just tell me another one and I'll try and do it. And I kept trying to stop playing. It's like, it's going to take too long. I'm going to duck out. But why don't I do one more? Oh, I got one of these. I only need one more. I'll try that. And so it did have a stickiness to it, you know? And again, this one's a little bit, it's not normal gameplay. The controls are different. Your fingers are doing weird things. It's not complicated, but it's almost not complicated enough in some ways. And on top of that, I know there's plenty of people who must hate this because it's the Vashir Zone thing all over again. It's an underwater 3D moving around, up, down. Not like Warcraft doesn't do that well. It hasn't. It still doesn't. It's not normal Warcraft. So in a way, it feels a little bit more like a task. But it also doesn't quite feel like just a video game level, as I said about the Dun. This feels more engaging. It feels like I felt like I was doing the thing it said I was doing. It didn't work as well as I want, but it felt a little bit more realistic. And so, yeah, I don't know. In the end, it kind of felt like that, there's something nice about locking in, as the kids say, tuning everything else out, and including decision making, and you just kind of follow the plan. Like, okay, what's the next achievement? Fine, I'll do that. And, for that night, for whatever mood I was in, that felt okay. I didn't mind it. And so ultimately, Abyss Anglers, probably not my favorite thing, and certainly not a thing I thought I was going to like, but I'm giving it a B+. And the B+, it would be higher if the awkward targeting system was a little bit easier. And I think if the progression could be just like 1 or 2 notches faster. I think it's just a little bit too slow. If you could speed this up by 15%, I think it would, that little tweak, I think it would make it a lot more engaging. So B+, a little bit of room for improvement, a surprise like from me. I saved it for one of the last things I did. I'm like, I'm not going to like that. It's going to be boring. Whatever. And yeah, it kind of caught on. All right. One thing to go. The last feature I'm going to mention in the old report card, ritual sites. These are level 90. I did not realize that at first. I had to figure that out. So level 90, I could not find them. I'm like, I'm leveling my characters. Where are those things? Why aren't they there? I finally figured it out. I don't remember how I figured it out. Sadly, I think I probably went out of the game. But anyway, I have to say, I finally found the zone activity headquarters, whatever, where the Void Assault weekly quest is. It's a short little quest line, I think, to get you started with these. And you do need to do that to get started with these. And then once you do, it's like, oh, there it is on my map. Okay. So I think it's a little stumbly in the beginning to get you going, but it did get me going. I thought Abyss Anglers was easier to get going. I thought some of the others were a little bit easier. I found myself liking this. You're progressing through trash, you're hitting some mini bosses, you get to the final boss. And as I'm saying it, I'm like, well, how is this different from Void Incursions? How is it different from whatever? And the difference isn't just, oh yeah, those are public events and this is solo, which that's definitely part of it. I like it, that it's solo. Is it samey? Yeah, a little bit. But it also, I don't know. There's some other collecting quests that are thrown in there. It's shorter than a delve, but it has a similar feel. I'm in there alone. I'm running around. I'm tackling a situation. I can be strategic. I've got, objectives and how am I going to path there. I did the tier 1. I was looking forward to the second one. I think I progressed relatively quickly. It has a 8 rank progression, kind of a renowned track. Let's see. I don't remember how many I did total, but I ended up moving up fairly quickly. And I thought that was good. The pacing of the progression seems better here than some of the other things. I was about to jump into a level 3, the tier 3. I just hit the, hey, you should get a 244 item level to do a tier 3. So I did push it off, and when I finished up playing recently, my character literally is at a 244. So probably the next thing I'll do when I get in game is to jump in and tackle the tier 3 when you start to get the you start to add the different affixes and challenges. And so this system, even though I kind of have to give it an incomplete grade because I haven't been, into the kind of the nitty gritty, I feel like tier 3 is when it starts to become what ritual sites are. But so far I've liked it. And, ultimately it does seem to honor the time, your time in the game principle. It's giving me rewards. It's moving me forward at a pace that feels good, whereas some of the others are not moving forward at that same level. They're starting to tier 2 had an affix, and it required me to do an interrupt. And you know what? I'm just checking my notes here. I literally wrote, in my 11 years of playing World of Warcraft, nothing else in this game has taught me to interrupt better than the dagger spine point scenario. Oh, nope. The Zulaman scenario. Sorry. The Broken Throne in Zulaman. Nothing else has been better than this scenario at teaching me to interrupt. And that is crazy. So I think that's great. And that fits with what Blizzard's trying to do. Hey, you should use your tools. You should solve the problems in certain ways. And there you go. I don't know if they intended that, but that's what I took away from that. It felt so much like a delve that there were a few times where I'm like, where the hell is what's her name? Why is she not helping me? And then, oh, right. Yeah, she's not coming. I got to save myself. Yeah. So ritual sites. What do you think? I gave it an A-, B+, like right on the cusp. I'm enjoying them so far. I haven't put as much time in as I want, but as systems go, this one feels a lot more engaging. So I like the variability in the affixes, and hey, I felt like I was getting something for my time in the game. So isn't that cool? I'm looking forward to doing more of that. I didn't average everything together, but if I had to, off the top of my dome, say what Warcraft here at the cusp of servers coming back for 12.0.7, what the grade is for Midnight so far, I gotta say C+, B- overall. Probably B-. I guess I would lean towards B-. There's something that I haven't put my finger on yet that is not pulling me into the game. Now, I keep complaining episode after episode, I'm sure you're tired of it, of not being able to get into the game. There's a flip side to that. I'm also not punching things out of my way to get into the game. And that's the part that's bothered me since Midnight launched. Get the first week out of the way, get the, the hype and the fanfare out of the way. There's something about Midnight that is not pulling me in no matter what. Like, oh, I'm really tired, but I've got a half hour. I'm just going to jump in and do something. I can't wait to get back in there. No, that hasn't happened. It's been like, oh, I have a half hour. I'm really tired. Maybe tomorrow. What would I even do with that half hour? What am I going to do? One follower dungeon? What am I going to do? There's something that probably has to do with time, and it probably has to do with progression, and it probably has to do with too many things on the menu. But there's something to that moment where I could go play even for a little bit. I can't now. I can't do it. And that's weird. This is not in my notes. I'm just kind of realizing this right now. It has not been the, oh, I'll do anything. Let me just let me just jam the dishes in the dishwasher and I could run upstairs and jump into the game for a half hour before I go sit on the couch with my wife and hang out. Like, no, I need to get into the game. I have not had that feeling, and that actually makes me a little sad. So, IRL definitely gets most of the blame for me not getting in the game, but there's a little bit of a dark side to the other side of that coin. And is there for you? Is that something that sounds familiar to you? I think I've heard it from a few people. I think there's something to this. Hey, we're on the cusp. Let me pull up my Battle.net launcher. I don't know if the game is live yet. I don't know if servers are live yet. They were still a little borked about an hour ago when I tried to hop in. Oh, and it's running another update. So something wasn't right. Is the 8-week patch cycle. This is, like I said, this is the do-over. This is the chance to prove to us, Blizzard, that no, it's okay. The last 12.0.5 was an anomaly. We can do this. And I hope you're right, but I'm not super faithful. Okay, I need to set aside cynicism and pessimism and all of that stuff. My life is slowing down a little bit, and so the decision to get into the game is going to be a little bit easier, and I'm looking forward to that. I do want to get in. I need to do some of the things that I told you. I need to make a schedule. I need to focus. I need to not get bogged down by the things that aren't as important to me. Hopefully, this little report card helps you as well as me. Like, I now know, oh yeah, don't do that. Do this. Don't only do that if you've got time. Hey, that's what report cards are for, right? You take it home, you put it on your fridge, your parents get pissed at you, and you try harder in the next patch cycle. That's what we're hoping, Blizz. Or you're grounded. Well, isn't this convenient? It looks like servers are up, although my add-ons are all borked. But it also looks like our time in the queue is up. So, time for you to dip into 12.0.7 and see if it's chock full of bugs or if Blizzard managed to beat expectations and put out a raft of clean content. We will see. Here's hoping. I need to finish cleaning our newly renovated bathroom. That's one of the big IRL things. I need to mix up a healthy-sized old-fashioned and sink into this new, hopefully bug-free content. Hey, remember, all the music and the sound that you hear in the show is the work of the amazing people at Blizzard. Hashtag don't play muted. Come on. And of course, the music book ending the show is by my friends in the doom metal band Ogre. The show in May was outstanding, by the way. I wish you'd been there. You can check it out. Ooh, I will throw a link into the show notes. There was a video made, and it's up on YouTube, so you can check out the show. Hey, thank you to everyone who made this episode possible. My lovely and supportive wife, the good folks at Podbean who host Solo Queue, and contributing Patreon supporters of Solo Queue. They are the awesome people. Heartfelt thanks to Andrew, Righteous Bandy, That Sky Guy, Sin, thanks for checking in, Snick of Oldoon, John, Scott, Jeru, Raven, Greybeard, Pasta Matt, Luch, and Rak. Rak, thanks again for having me on your show. It's great to meet you and Kael. All of those wonderful people support the show at patreon.com/soloqueue. Hey, if you have a chance, like some of these good people did, to leave a review on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube, or just a like, ratings, reviews, all of it is helpful. You know, we're a small show, monthly at that, fighting that algorithm beast, so anything you can do for engagement helps out. And if you want to connect with me, this is the fun part. If you want to connect with me, I am at SoloQueWow, SoloQueueWow. That is at Gmail for email. It's at Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, kind of Threads. Also on Discord. Find us on the Discord channel. The invite link code thing is in the show notes. Hop on in. I like connecting with people in Discord. I have done a 180 on Discord in the last number of months, so feel free to join us. Enjoy 12.0.7, but hey, don't worry if you're still making your way through 12.0.5 or 11.0 or 7.2 or wherever you are in Azeroth. It does not matter. Find your fun. I'm going to do my best to take my own advice. We can talk about all of it next time we hop into the solo queue, whenever that is. Maybe July, maybe June. Hold out hope. I don't know. Regardless, I'll see you out there.